Hello everyone! Welcome back to my book channel. Today I'm really excited for this video because this is one that I've been waiting a while to make, and I've been actually setting aside books for this video, and I've just been really excited to talk about them. So this is actually my summer TBR book video. So I have all the books that I would like to read this summer, and I've been waiting literally months to read some of these books because I've been saving them for the summer because I knew they kind of fit the vibe or just the general idea of summer. Some of them are more like, at a beach, or more at like an ocean, or on a ship. I don't know. Or some just seem like really good books for me to read in the summer, especially if they're longer books. I have time off in the summer, so then I can actually spend time and binge some of these bigger books. So that is part of the reason why I saved some of them, or I just wanted to have something to look forward to. Or for vacations or trips that I have coming up. So I'm gonna go through each of the books and just share a little bit about them. And then at the end, I'll show you the back of them so you can actually see all of them together. But I'm really excited to talk about these because some of these books I know are really popular right now, or I've never heard of them before. I've never heard anyone talk about them. So I'm excited to talk about them, and hopefully they end up being some of my best reads this year. I always feel like I get the most reading done in the summer, obviously, because I have time off to read. But I'm just really looking forward to getting into some of these books. At the moment, I'm just like itching to grab one, and I don't know which one I'm going to start with yet, but I'm definitely a mood reader, and I feel like in the summer, to balance around between different genres, I don't stick to just one. I will be talking about romance, I'll talk about a little bit of fantasy, and a couple like mystery thriller type books in this video. So I have a little bit of everything that I like to read, but yeah, some of these are series or are part of a series, and so I will explain if it is a part of a series. I'll let you know if it's like the first book or second book or whatever, but yeah, I'm just really excited to get into this. So let's get into the video. I'm gonna just start talking about all my romance books that I have picked out. So the first book, this is a new release, and it's the second book, and I don't think it's a series, but it's in the same universe as the first book. So Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, and now I'm on Meet Me at the Lake. I've heard great things so far about this book. I am kind of iffy on it. I'm going into it, I'm trying to keep my expectations low because I have heard a lot of people had really high expectations and went into it and were kind of underwhelmed by the story. So especially since I did enjoy Every Summer After, I didn't necessarily like communication or like what happened between the two characters. I didn't like that. I feel like this one will be a change of pace. It'll be a little bit different, and it's at a lake. I always go to the lake or go on float trips in the summer. So for me, this really hits home, and it's definitely a summer read in my opinion. So Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. This is about Fern, and she is going back home to her, to help run her mom's lakeside resort or something like that. And basically, she, like 10 years or 9 years beforehand, she had met this one, and they had planned on meeting up a year later, and she showed up and he didn't. So there was always like, what happened to him? Why didn't he show up? But anyways, it's like almost 10 years later, and she's back home, back at the lake, running this lakeside resort for her mom, and Will shows up. And so then it's kind of like, okay, obviously they're gonna work through some issues. There's probably gonna be some big problem that he experienced or something that happened that made him not show up 10 years beforehand. So I'm excited to figure out what that was. And I think I've heard that this is very similar to Every Summer After, where it switches back and forth between then and now. So I'm guessing every chapter will kind of flip back and forth, and you'll see how they were in the past, and then you'll see how they are in the present. So I'm excited. I feel like it's gonna be really good. I just love that it's set at a lake. I think it's just gonna be very nostalgic. I love lake trips. Me and my friends always go on like a float trip every year. And also we've gone on a couple different lake trips, and I just love the lake. So I'm gonna go in with lower expectation because I don't wanna be disappointed. I don't wanna have too high hopes for this book just in case. So kind of what I'm planning on doing with this book. The next book I have to talk about today is Rock Bottom Girl by Lucy Score. Lucy Score is one of my all-time favorite romance authors. I love her books. They're all a lot more like chunky, so if you're not into a longer read, then it's probably not the book for you. But I must say, her books fly by for me. I go through these so quick. They're so good. The chemistry, the banter between the main characters are always so good. It's just, I love Lucy Score. She's definitely an auto-buy reader for me. But anyways, I saw this book, this cover, and it screamed summer to me. It just, the colors, everything about it is so beautiful. I love it, and I'm really excited. I bought it before I even read the back, but when I read the back, it definitely sealed the deal for me. So I'm really excited. So it's about this girl named Marley who basically hits rock bottom, hence the title. And she moves back home to kind of start over, and she ends up getting this job to be back at her old high school, and she is planning on being the PE teacher, and I think she's also going to help out with the soccer team. She's going to be a soccer coach. But anyway, so she's back home and she's trying to basically fix or start over and also like fix her reputation. And she meets Jake, who I think she went to high school with way back when, and he was kind of like the bad boy, but he is the school's track coach. And so it sounds like it's the fake dating trope because they strike up a deal. He will help her kind of fix her reputation by dating her, and in return, she will teach him how to be in a relationship. It just sounds really cute. I feel like it's gonna be one of my favorite Lucy Score books. I have a feeling. And I just, every time I think about it, I'm like, what really is in it for him? Like learning how to be in a relationship. I feel like he probably had a crush on her back in high school. And so he kind of jumped on this chance to date her and hopefully make her fall for him in return. So that's kind of my prediction, but I am really excited about this. I love the fake dating trope because you know where it leads, but it just sounds really cute. I know that they're going to have the best banter and just everything about it. So I'm really excited about this one as well. The next book I have to talk about today is Honestly, I'm Totally Faking It by Amanda Gamble. So I have never read any of Amanda Gamble's books. I don't know if she has any other books or what they are, but when I saw this cover, I loved it. I think I actually originally saw this cover on Instagram, and it was like an ad or something or some book review. And when I saw it, I was like, I have to buy that book. I don't care what it's about. The cover is so cute, and just everything about it just screams, like, honestly, it kind of screams Valentine's Day to me, but I've waited so long to buy it and Valentine's Day passed. So then I said, okay, I will read it this summer, and I finally got my hands on it. But it looks so cute and fun and kind of quirky and just funny. Basically, I think the girl, whose name is Rach, she is a personal assistant of another personal assistant. So she's not like anybody who's well known for sure. But basically she accidentally goes viral, and they call it like boobgate. So obviously she's going to flash someone on camera and it goes viral. She meets Press, who is a politician, and apparently he's like kind of like grouchy. He's not known for dating around or anything. And I guess his PR just kind of wants to jump on and capitalize on the viral video and basically have them fake date. So it's another fake dating trope. And it just seems like she's the opposite of him in every way. She agrees to it just because she doesn't want to lose her job, and he does it for the PR basically. So I'm really excited about this one too. I haven't heard that many people talk about it, but I feel like this is going to be a fun read. Definitely. I feel like this would maybe be a book I would read in between like some fantasy books, because it seems kind of just like a lighthearted, easy read. And I think this will be really nice to kind of throw in between some of my bigger, more serious books. So the next book I have to talk about today is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is another one of my favorite romance authors. I love Life's Too Short by her. I thought it was amazing. I love the chemistry between the characters. And honestly, it talks about some serious topics. And it was just so good. I remember I reread that book a couple of times because it's one of those comfort reads for me because it's just so cute and fun and sweet. And I love just the chemistry between the characters. And I know this has been out for a decent while now. Like when I read the back of it, I saw the age gap. So it's where the girl is 10 years older than the guy. So the girl is the older one in the relationship. And I think that kind of threw me off. Something about the whole cougar aspect of it kind of bugged me a little bit. So I didn't buy it, but I did change my mind because I love Abby Jimenez. I know she just came out with another book, which I will talk about in a second as well. And they're kind of related. So these two books that I'm about to talk about involve some of the same characters. They're in the same world, or in the same, whatever that's called. World? Sure. I don't know. You know what I mean. So the girl in this book, her name is Alexis, and she's an ER doctor. So she's like a big city girl. You know, she's not used to the small town feel. She's definitely like living a faster paced life. I think her car breaks down or something is what I've heard. But she meets this guy named Daniel, who is 10 years younger than her. He's a carpenter and he's from like a small town. So it's definitely a different lifestyle than what she's used to. And it's definitely going to be one of those opposites attract type books. So it sounds like she is kind of stuck because she loves the life she has. She loves being a doctor, but she also really likes Daniel. And she's starting to kind of become a part of his world and part of your world, get it? But she's slowly like transitioning into his life, like meeting his friends and like their families and everything. And I just feel like there's going to be a lot of struggle on her part, because she would potentially be giving up everything that she's known. I'm really excited to read this one. I feel like it'll take me a little bit to get over the age gap, but once I'm over that, it'll be smooth sailings. And that also brings me into the next book, which is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. So Yours Truly is set in the same world. It involves Alexis's, I think, best friend or coworker at her hospital. Her name is Brianna, however you say her name. And she ends up meeting this new doctor at the hospital named Jacob. Now, when I heard about this book, everyone who's talked about this book has talked about how Jacob, he has anxiety. So I think it'll be really nice to see from a guy's perspective. It is dual point of view. So you'll get to see things from his side of things, and you'll get to see kind of inside of his head. And I'm really excited about this one. It sounds like they're going to start up almost kind of like a pen pal relationship. And her, Brianna, however you say her name, her brother needs like I think, a kidney transplant. So there's going to be some more serious topics talked about in this book as well. But I feel like it's going to be really good. I'm excited to see things from Jacob's side of things, and I think it'll just be a really sweet book to read. So I'm really excited about this one. I'll definitely read them back to back. And that's kind of why I'm saving Part of Your World for the summer, so I can read it with this one as well. So the next book or book series that I'm going to be talking about today is the Magnolia Park series. I am so excited to read these. So I got all four. I have not read them yet, obviously, but I've heard such good things about these books. They got really popular on Book Talk and everything. One of the things I heard was it's like Gossip Girl, but set in London. And I love Gossip Girl. So immediately I was like, this is something I want to read this summer, because I mean, what would be better? Honestly, I might watch Gossip Girl while I'm reading these books. Actually, I probably will do that. I'm going to watch Gossip Girl while I read these books. But I also know that it is about a toxic relationship or a couple. It's two different people. So it's about Magnolia and BJ, I think. And then the second book is Daisy and I don't know what the guy's name is, but Daisy and another guy. And then the third book goes back to Magnolia and BJ. And then the fourth book goes back to Daisy and her guy. So it'll be kind of different. I haven't read a series that jumps like that between characters, but yet they're all in the same universe. That's the book. That's the word I was trying to think of earlier. They're in the same universe. So anyways, I'm very excited about these. I know it's a toxic relationship going into it, so I think that will help. I know that is one thing that a lot of people did not like, because they're like, this is too toxic. Like, why would you want to read this? But in my opinion, it's just entertaining. Like, obviously, I wouldn't want that in my own relationship, but I think it'll just be fun to read, especially in the summer if I'm on vacation or something, traveling. It just sounds really interesting to me. So really looking forward to these. I know that they're going to be great. And I just have really high hopes for them. I hope that they don't disappoint me, because I also love the look of the books. They are all so pretty. Like, come on. Like, have you ever seen a prettier cover? I haven't. And, you know, they all just They keep getting better and better. I just don't understand. Yeah, so that's the book or the series that I will be reading this summer. I might wait till like later in the summer to read these, but I'm very much looking forward to these. And the last romance book that I have is Stolen Heir by Sophie Lark. So this is the second book in a series. The first book is Brutal Prince. It has like strawberries on the cover or something. But it sounds like it's the guy in the first book. It's his younger sister. So it's her. And she is a ballerina. And so basically her family, they are kind of run Chicago, I think is what it said in Chicago. Why am I totally spacing on this? I don't know. But anyways, her family is super important and they're kind of criminals as well. But anyways, she's a ballerina and I think she's kind of known for having the reputation of being like the delicate princess type family member type sister. So she's kind of trying to get out of that reputation. She wants to prove herself to her family that she is stronger than she looks or seems, which I'm really excited to see how she goes about that because you get a couple glimpses of her in the first book. So I'm excited to see things from her perspective. But it sounds like she gets kidnapped by Mikolai, however you say his name. And he is trying to get revenge on her family. So that's why he kidnaps her. His adoptive father was murdered by her family. So this is all revenge for him. So he decides to kidnap Nessa is her name. What's it called? I'm totally blanking. What? I don't know. Whatever the syndrome is that you like fall in love with your kidnapper. I know there's a term for it and I'm just totally spacing. It sounds like that's going to be the case in this book. And I also got the illustrated version. So I did the same thing with Brutal Prince. When I bought it, it said illustrated and I didn't really know it was illustrated until I got my hands on it. But yeah, so is throughout this book, there are parts where it actually shows like they actually draw the scenes that it's talking about. So I'm excited to see more of those pages. I think that'll really help me kind of picture the characters and everything. So really excited about that. I feel like this will be a really quick and easy read for me as well because it's a shorter read and it'll be good in between some of my fantasy books that I read. Now I'm going to be moving on into the mystery thriller genre. So I'm done with romance and now moving on. The next book I have for the summer is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. And this is actually a book of the month book that I saw an ad for and I immediately wanted to buy it because it just sounds so interesting. It's the type of plot that I've never actually heard in a book before. So I'm really excited about this one. So it's about this woman who she lives off like on this like cliffside and she's in a very isolated area. She lives by herself. And she reads this book and she ends up leaving a really bad, like 1-star negative review for the book. Like she absolutely hated it and kind of trashes it online. Soon after, she actually gets into an online argument with the author of that book. So he's kind of like defending his book and like he's mad that she didn't like it and doesn't agree with her and everything. After this conversation happens, some weird stuff starts happening like around her property and she's already living in an isolated area. So it's like, anytime I'm home alone, it's like immediately if something happens, I kind of freak out. So I know she's probably terrified since she lives by herself. But she does kind of a deep dive into the author and his books and everything he's written in the past. And all of his books are surrounding the topics of kidnapping, stalking, murder, like all these scary things. So she starts to question like, is the author stalking me? Did he find me somehow? And is he tormenting me for my negative review? So I'm really excited about this one. I feel like it's going to be really good. And I just feel like it's going to be kind of a very spooky, like vacation read. It was one of my most highly anticipated mystery thriller type books. So I'm really looking forward to this one. The next book I have is Deep Water by Emma Bamford. So I saw this one at Barnes & Noble and I saw this a while ago in kind of like the front section where it shows all of like the new release literary fiction type books. But this is actually also a mystery thriller. So this one is set on the sea, so in some random ocean. I'm not actually quite sure where it's at, but this crew comes across this like isolated yacht. That on this yacht is this couple and the man is injured and the wife is like traumatized. And so they're trying to figure out what happened. And the woman, she ends up saying, "It's all my fault. I killed them," is like what it says in the thing. So it's gonna go back, and I'm sure they're gonna explain, she's gonna explain like what happened, but it sounds like the couple was going on vacation, and it's gonna be one of those instances where like a vacation gone wrong, like anything that could have happened. But the couple ends up going to this like island or something that's by word of mouth, so it's not like a well-known destination, but it sounds like they go there and there's people on the island and something's gonna happen where obviously she's traumatized and he's injured. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm hoping it keeps me guessing till the very end. I kind of hope it kind of switches back and forth between present and then the past, and you get to kind of figure out as you go. Like she'll be telling a story, but then you get to see from their perspective what's happening. I love like any island type mystery thrillers. Last summer, I actually read Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins, I think is who wrote that. And it was so good. I read it while I was on the beach, and it was set on like a remote island, kind of just like this one. So I'm really looking forward to this one, and I think it's gonna be really good. The next book I've actually had this book for such a long time, and I've been wanting to read it, but I just kept pushing it off because there were other books I wanted to read more. But I'm really looking forward to this one for this summer because I feel like it's finally time. So the book is The Devil and the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Turton? Sure. But anyways, he wrote The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which I also own. I actually started that book but didn't keep going. I didn't finish it because I got sidetracked by another book, so I stopped reading that one. But I do want to go back to that one because I feel like it'd be a really good kind of like fall winter read. So I'm gonna wait to read that one until this fall or winter when the mood is right. But this one I think will be perfect for summer. So this book kind of reminds me of Agatha Christie novel just because it's about a famous detective, and it's set back in the 1600s, so back in time in the past. And so this famous detective, he is arrested for a crime that he may or may not have committed. So we don't know, as the reader, we don't know if he committed it or not. But he's basically being transported on this ship to another country to be executed for the crime. And so on this ship is his loyal bodyguard and this noblewoman. And it sounds like they're both going to be kind of trying to play detective to actually figure out if he is innocent or not, or prove his innocence. So I feel like this will be a really interesting read. And also, while they're on this ship, some weird stuff starts happening. Possessed spirits or something. Like there's going to be a dead leper who's stalking the ship. There's going to be livestock that starts going bad. Like there's just a lot of stuff, weird stuff that starts happening while they're on this ship being transported. And also, like, honestly, what drove me to buy this was the cover. It's beautiful, and the inside literally has a map of the ship, and it names off everything, like the people who are on it. It lists where everything is stored on the ship. So I'm really glad they included this because I think this will just help me to picture everything that's happening on here. But this will be a really fun read to kind of break up all the romance and the fantasy that I'll be reading. And I'm really looking forward to this one. So the next book I'm going to be reading this summer is one that my dad actually got me. And it is honestly the prettiest book I've ever seen. Like when you think of an old-timey bookshelf, this is one of the books that I think I would see on that bookshelf. Like it's like got this cloth type material, and it's not like your stereotypical book. Like it's so cool looking. It actually came in this box, which I wish I had filmed me opening it because it was amazing. It was the coolest book to open. But it was like sealed because inside this book there's a bunch of inserts. Like as you flip through, like there's a postcard, there's like notes and things and maps and newspaper articles, and it just sounds so cool. And so it's written by J.J. Abrams, who is actually the director of Star Trek and Star Wars and all those movies. So I know it's gonna be good. Like it already sounds so good. But anyways, it's called Ship of Theseus, and it says VM Straka or Straka, however you say that. That's not the actual book. So it's kind of confusing. It honestly sounds like a movie that you turned into a book instead of a book turned into a movie. So it's about these two college students who are finding this book. So this book, the way it's packaged, they find this book and they start writing in the margins back and forth. So when you open the book, it actually shows like their writing in it, which I think is so cool. So you're gonna actually see their conversation and see their annotations inside the book that they're reading. And the book that they're reading is Ship of Theseus, and it's about this author, but he's like gonna be on this ship and he goes on some sort of quest or journey or something. I'm not really sure, but I'm going into it with a very open mind because I feel like it's gonna be just an experience. I honestly think that this will be such a fun way to read a book. I've never read a book like this before, and it's just so immersive. Like, it's so engaging already just looking at it. I'm so excited to read this, and I feel like it's going to take me some time because it has all the margins on top of the actual story you're reading and all the little inserts. So that's just a really cool way for an author to do that. Like, it's just such an engaging read, and I'm really looking forward to this one. All right, so that is it for the mysteries and thrillers. Now I'm going to move on to fantasy. So fantasy books that I have picked out for the summer. The first one I haven't heard that much about. I saw it on Amazon and it just looked like a type of book that I would want to read in the summer. A fantasy, but it's Of Tubes and Tides by Anne Stryker and TBR Prouty, however you say that, Prouty. But it's about this girl. She has an illness or a disability or something. Gastroparesis, I don't know how to say that. I don't know medical terms. But so she hasn't eaten in 10 years. Never heard of such a thing, but apparently that's a thing. She is living on constant life support, and so she has this backpack named Whaley, and she has to wear him in order to survive. So it's about her, and then she meets this fairy named Calmar, but he goes by Cal, and he is, I don't know if he's a mermaid or what he is, but he lives in the ocean, I think. But he's on land from the sea to do finishing school or transition school or something. And so he has to go through this process because he's a prince and he's the king to be. So he has to go to school, and I guess they run into each other, they meet each other, and they start to fall for each other. But it would never work because obviously she's human, he's fairy. He has to figure out like how to save his kingdom, and I'm sure that the girl in this will be a big part of it, and they'll probably go on some sort of quest to try to save his kingdom and his people. It just sounds like a really fun, different type of read. I'm used to like the more high stakes type fantasies, and I haven't read a YA fantasy in quite a while, so I am looking forward to this one. The next book in my fantasy pile is Trial of the Sun Queen by Nisha J. Tooley. So, Trial of the Sun Queen. I looked at this cover and I immediately thought of summer. I mean, how could you not, right? So in this book, the main character, Lore, she was kind of like a prisoner in the Aurora Kingdom. And she somehow gets free and she ends up in the Sun Kingdom. When she gets to the Sun Kingdom, she gets entered into the Sun Queen trials. So I'm picturing this and I'm thinking The Selection, but make it fantasy. So I loved The Selection when I read it when I was younger. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It sounds like going to be fighting against 9 other tributes who are all from the Sun Kingdom. So she already kind of has a disadvantage because she's not from there and no one in the kingdom is rooting for her because she's not, she's obviously not from there. So she has to win or otherwise she will die is basically what happens. So I think that there's a second book to this one that came out. I'm not sure if there's going to be a third or not, but I wanted to buy the first one because it sounded really interesting. And if I like it, I'll probably end up getting the second one. The next book I'm going to be reading this summer is also a part of a series. It's the first book in the series, but it is The Twice Cursed Serpent by Scarlett Devine. And I have not heard anybody talk about this. This is another book that I saw on Amazon and I fell in love with the cover. Like, look at how pretty this cover is. Like, honestly, it's so gorgeous. I love it. And it's not that long, actually. It's pretty thin. But it just sounded really interesting. When I saw the cover, I read the synopsis for it, and immediately I was like, oh, okay, I'll buy it. I'll get it. So it's about this girl named Case, I think. Her dad was some sort of, like, prophesied hero, and he was supposed to save the kingdom that they live in, but apparently he failed. So the whole kingdom hates her and kind of takes it out on her. And she ends up getting exiled, I believe. She gets exiled into the enemy kingdom, and there's these people called soul carvers, and they're the kind of people who they're undead magic wielders who thrive off of the power of whatever killed them. So immediately that just sounds really interesting. But she has these soul carver were her guards. So in order for her to escape and survive, she ends up going on this quest where she has to awaken this god who is trapped in a stone or something, I think. But one of her soul carver guards actually offers to help her. So I'm sure there's gonna be a romance there, but I'm excited to see. I'm wondering why he's doing that, unless like there has to be something in it for him. I'm really looking forward to reading this. I think it'll be really interesting and different. I like the concept of soul carvers guards. I think that's going to be really cool to read about and learn about. Again, this is a part of a series. I think there's another book that's already out, like the second book is out, and I don't know how many other books are going to be in this series, but yeah, just like with the Trial of the Sun Queen, I will give this one a shot, and if I like it, I will definitely buy the second one. And the final books that I'm going to be reading this summer, these are the ones I'm most excited about out of all my fantasy reads. I've been waiting to read these because I want to read them all together, and I wanted to actually film a video where I read these books. They're super popular right now, and I know that they're going to live up to my expectations, or at least I hope they do. And that is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. So I've heard such good things about this already, and I just know it's going to be everything I could want and more. I'm really looking forward to it. So I have the first book, and then I have Six Scorched Roses, which is the like little in-between novella in between this book and the second book. So it's a duology, but it has a little companion novel. And then also The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King is the second book. So the main character is a human living in a vampire world. So she gets rescued by this vampire king, I think, in this kingdom. He's the Nightborn Vampire King. But she ends up entering into the Kajari, which is like the Hunger Games. So it's fight to the death, I think. But it's filled with vampires. Everyone who's in this is a vampire. So she already has the disadvantage. But I've heard that she's kind of like gonna remind me of Aelin from the Throne of Glass series, where she was raised by this vampire king, and he has raised her to be a fighter, to like be a warrior basically. So I'm really looking forward to another strong female main character. I think in this Kajari, she meets this guy who must be her enemy because he's against her in the Kajari, and it's fight to the death. But his name's Rain, and I'm really excited to see their love story. I feel like it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be like Aelin and Rowan, and I'm just so here for it. I cannot wait. And that is the last of my summer TBR. Anyways, so that is the end of this video. I hope that you guys were able to get some recommendations, or at least get some ideas for books that you could possibly read this summer. I'm personally really looking forward to reading these, and I will keep you updated on how I do. I'm sure there'll be other books that I read in between or buy this summer, because I have a lot of trips coming up, and I know I'm going to go to some bookstores, but I'm just really looking forward to reading these. Is going to be such a fun summer, and I cannot wait to take you guys along with me. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff that you guys already know how to do, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.